After the operation, I did not awake for at least 1 day, and perhaps 2 or 3 days after that. My condition, which is extremely uncommon, was initially misidentified as something else. When it was functioning properly, the pump that the surgeon was installing assisted patients who suffered from both the condition I actually had and the one for which I was given an incorrect diagnosis. At the time, the technique was cutting edge, and the surgeon had never before attempted to implant one. After the fact, I found out from another physician that she believed the surgeon inserted an excessive amount of medication into the pump during the operation. A person may become completely paralyzed if they took an excessive amount of this medicine. Because of this, I didn't wake up and I found it difficult to take deep breaths. A second opinion from a different anesthesiologist at a different facility suggested that my condition may have had a harmful interaction with the anesthetic. He came up with a unique recipe for anesthesia that was tailored to the needs of patients who had my illness. Perhaps it was a combination of the anesthetic and the medication that controls the pump. It makes no difference though, because every one of my major organs was damaged. Morse-Woltman syndrome, sometimes referred to as stiff person syndrome, is the condition that has been correctly diagnosed. Visitors were informed that it was likely that I would pass away soon. I don't recall how difficult it was for me to breathe, but a friend of mine who was also a nurse came to see me when I was in the hospital. She revealed to me at a later time that I was choking for air around 4 times per minute. Because she had seen so many people pass away, she believed that each breath I took would be my last. In the meantime, I moved on to another location. It seemed like I was in a very thin membrane that I could see through, yet the tube I was in was incredibly vast and translucent. While I was racing through the tube at the speed of light, I was able to observe the passing of the stars in the universe. The fact that I was fully immobile and required the use of a wheelchair at the time made it seem much more incredible to me that I was unable to walk at all. The physical act of running was such a liberating, incredible, and lovely feeling. When viewed from the front, the tube appeared to go on forever as it spiraled further and deeper into the void. But it didn't matter to me because I felt so liberated, and each stride I took propelled me farther and more into the past. Then all of a sudden, I found myself in a breathtaking location. As the path curved to the left and down a hill with rolling topography, there was a meadow to my left that was covered with wildflowers. Beyond the meadow and farther into the distance, there was a thick and verdant forest. There were also 2 other persons there in the room with me. A stone wall that was overgrown with ivy could be seen behind these individuals. That wall served as a barrier between me and all that was in front of me. There was no way for me to look over or around it. One of the individuals resembled a gardener who was using a rake. I had the impression that he was absent-mindedly raking the stones or pebbles that were located in front of the wall. It made me think of the shapes that Buddhist monks carve into gravel to create a sense of serenity. On the other hand, I had the impression that he was paying attention to what was transpiring between the other individual and myself. Later on, I came to the conclusion that this guy, whose face I was never able to see, was most likely my late father. Throughout my youth, my teenage years, and even up until the time he passed away, my connection with my father was fraught with tension and conflict. Despite the fact that some of the things that had occurred between us, I had the impression that he wanted to be there to ensure that I was doing well and to let me know that his love for me was unwavering. My relationship with him was never able to be restored because Dad passed away when I was just 21 years old. For as long as I can remember, I've harbored a strong dread of him in addition to my wrath toward him. The other individual is notoriously difficult to characterize. He was constructed from love. Everything about him radiated affection and exemplified what it means to truly love someone. He picked me up in his arms and continued to just hold me there. He nourished me with love, a love that was serene and unruffled. My life had been filled with misery for such a long time. I put forth a lot of effort to just enjoy life for the sake of our little children. I was attempting to keep some feeling of purpose in my life in spite of the fact that I was very unwell and a financial burden. During that time, when I was being held so lovingly by this individual, I felt like I was being cured of the deepest grief and the worst loneliness I had ever known. I got the impression that he had responded to the questions I had not even asked, and that he had informed me that I was certainly and profoundly appreciated and loved just as I was. Everything was conveyed to me without the use of a single word at any point. Then I came to in the intensive care unit.